Headline: Prime Minister Abiy meets the British Foreign Secretary James Cleverly in Hawassa. Uganda receives first batch of Ebola vaccine candidate. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Yabsaran Tekka from African Renaissance Television Services with tonight's news. Stay tuned. The 17th Ethiopian Nation and Nationalities was celebrated in Hawassa. The annual celebration of the cultures and diversity of Ethiopia's nations and nationalities was held in Hawassa city. The event was attended by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and First Lady Zinash Taye. It was also attended by high-level government officials, religious and civic leaders, and representatives of Ethiopian nationalities. It was held in the Hawassa Stadium with the youth providing different shows including mosaics and Defense Ministry's marching band and providing the music for the day. The British Foreign Secretary James Cleverly visits the Prime Minister in Hawassa. The meeting focused on enhancing bilateral ties between the two countries in addition to the current issues, according to the statement by the Prime Minister's office. According to a press release from the British government, the Foreign Secretary's visit was focused on reiterating his vision of a stronger partnership between the UK and African countries. This partnership is to be built on mutual respect and benefits and supporting populations in Africa, the UK, and the rest of the world to be more prosperous, healthier, and greener. After his visit to Hawassa, Foreign Secretary James was able to give a press statement in the British Embassy compound, where a reception was held to welcome him. The African Renaissance Television Services was at the reception and was able to ask a couple of questions. To the question of the new Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak's policies in continuing and supporting the strong bilateral relationships between the two countries, he had this to say.
One of the reasons that I have come to East Africa so early in my time as Foreign Secretary is because these are relationships which have been very long-standing, and the UK's commitment will also be long-standing into the future. We recognise that, for example, the impact of climate change hits the people of Ethiopia and the wider region very hard. That's why we want to ensure that working with our international partners and using our expertise and the energy and expertise here in Ethiopia, that we look at ways of developing Ethiopia's agricultural economy and also non-agricultural economy in an environmentally sustainable way. The UK is here for the long term. We've been long-standing friends in the past, and we intend to be long-standing friends into the future.
He was also able to answer the question of UK's policy regarding helping Ethiopia in developing an ecologically sustainable industry and fighting against climate change in relation to decisions made in COP27.
So this is an incredibly important issue, and one that our Prime Minister discussed when he went to COP27 in Sharm el-Sheikh. The UK recognises that the way that we developed over the hundreds of years of our own economic development. We cut down all our trees, we burnt coal, and that was what fueled our economic development. But we recognise that the economic development, the mistakes that we made, with the hydrocarbon emissions that we made, are not things that are replicable in the future. Yes, our experience and our money, and also our knowledge and our partnerships around the world to unlock ways for African economies, like here in Ethiopia, to develop, but to develop in a green and ecologically sustainable way, because that will be good for Ethiopia, good for Africa, good for the planet. And I think that is a big part of our responsibility, to find ways of ensuring the world can develop in a green and sustainable way.
France returns ancient artifacts back to Ethiopia. Some 740 artifacts that were found in the 1960s by the renowned French archaeologist and paleontologist Jean Chevalion and his colleagues in the Lower Omo Valley that were taken to France for research purposes have been returned back to Ethiopia after 5 decades. Khalib Tinsai has more details.
The artifacts that were comprised of ancient stone tools and animal remains ranging from 10,000 to 2 million years were returned on December 9. The handover ceremony was between the head of cooperation for the French embassy in Addis Ababa, Sophie Makame, and Director General of Authority for Research and Conservation of Cultural Heritage, Ababa Ayaleo. The artifacts were taken to France in 1972 for research purposes, since Ethiopia at that moment did not have the facilities to study and date the findings. However, after the 1974 revolution, the artifacts remained in France. Sophie Makame on her part stated that the research and scientific cooperation is another indication of the fruitful relationship between France and Ethiopia.
Uganda receives first batch of Ebola vaccine candidate. A shipment of Ebola vaccine candidate set to be used in a clinical trial has arrived in Uganda. The country has previously experienced 7 outbreaks. Khalid Tinsai has more on the matter.
There are currently no licensed vaccines for the Sudan strain of Ebola that is causing the deadly infection in Uganda, according to a report by Reuters. The WHO has stated that it would send 3 vaccine candidates to Uganda to be used in a trial. One by the University of Oxford and Serum Institute of India, another by the Sabin Vaccine Institute, and a third by Merck & Company. Health Minister Jane Ruth-Aceng said 1,200 doses had arrived from the US-based Sabin Vaccine Institute. Today we are happy that we have the first batch. We shall be receiving other doses from Merck and from Oxford, she added. The health minister will announce the start date of trials in which it will be used to determine whether any or all of the 3 are effective in combating the strain.
These were the news we had for you for tonight. Once again, I'm Yamsaram Dimtakka from African Renaissance Television Services. Thank you for watching.